So this is Neil Ante van der Poel, who wants to be the chairman of the National Democratic Congress. And many political watchers, even people who are not members of the NDC, felt that this is a good choice. Neil Ante is trained. He's come far. He's solid. He's been a minister before. He's been a member of parliament. He understands the politics. He's fought in opposition. He's fought in government. So he really knows how to handle these things. So yes, they were excited that he's going to be chairman of the party. But the story doesn't end there. We have to begin the story. Now let me get back Johnson, Asiedu Nketiah, and President Mahama. So this Neil Ante van der Poel situation, okay, it's a clear situation of a proxy war between President John Dramani Mahama and his party chairman. As you may all know, Party Chairman Johnson Asiedu Nketiah is lacing his boots, or perhaps by now he's finished lacing his boots. He is in pole position to become the NDC's presidential candidate for the next election. It appears that prospect is not finding favor with John Dramani Mahama. It appears that John Dramani Mahama and his principal advisors are not particularly settled in on Johnson Asiedu Nketiah becoming the leader of the party. They have their reasons. I'm not here to justify whether it's a good reason or it's a bad reason. But when a president who's been president twice in different situations and he decides that somebody should not be president, I guess we have to grant him some authority in that regard. We have not been presidents before. Have not been president before. Yes, I support Muhammadu Bawumia. I supported Nana Akufo-Addo. But if you ask me to what are the ingredients that will make somebody a good president, I really can't tell. But John Mahama can tell. I believe Akufo-Addo can tell. I believe J.A. Kufuor can tell. And they have been president before. So John Mahama's situation is that it appears that he doesn't feel very settled about his party chairman becoming the leader of the party. Now, this indication also has sort of annoyed Asiedu Nketiah quite a bit, because if you know the history of the NDC, and I know it, Asiedu Nketiah has stood for John Mahama in many respects. In 2012, I was there when the decisions were being taken about whether the NDC should go to a congress to elect their presidential candidate or not. Johnson was the general secretary, and he determined that there shall be no congress. The vice president has been sworn in as president. He will be the candidate of the NDC for the election. Asiedu Nketiah was right. John Mahama went to the election and he won 2012 elections. Amidst controversy in the court, nevertheless, the court pronounced him the eventual satisfied winner of that election. Okay, so then comes 2018, when people are feeling that John Mahama has spent force and he's lost elections by the heaviest margin in the history of the Fourth Republic, blah, blah, blah. And people are thinking that John Mahama should be replaced as a candidate for the NDC. Up comes important NDC figures like Alban Sumano Kingsford Bagbin. He was running against John Mahama for the ticket. Joshua Alabi was running against John Mahama for the ticket. Augustus Guzitano was running against John Mahama for the ticket. I believe Sylvester Manson too was running against John Mahama for the ticket, weren't they? But it was Johnson Asiedu Nketiah who once again stood firm as general secretary of the party that come what may, John Mahama is going to be the candidate for the election. Election 2020 came and John Mahama and the NDC significantly improved upon their performance in 2016, and it made a justifiable reason why John Mahama should become the candidate of the election for 2024, given that the MPP were now going to naturally change the candidate. Akufo-Addo's tenure was done, and of course Muhammadu Bawumia was going to come in as a vice president who was about to win the party's nomination, and he did win the party's nomination. A few hiccups here and there. Alan Martin decides to leave the party, and Kennedy Japan is calling for a showdown, etc., etc. But Muhammadu Bawumia is elected nonetheless. All right. The election comes in, and just before the election, though, the NDC go to Congress again. Chairman Ofuso Ampofo has been an NDC chairman for this period. For that period, there was Chairman Wayose. May God keep his soul for us. Very, very good man. I refer to Dr. Kwabena J, a former member of the NPP. And why do I say that? He was an NPP member of parliament in 1979. The party was called the Popular Front Party, PFP. And he was the member of parliament for Biakoye constituency. Kwabena J was elected to parliament on Victor Owusu's party. So Kwabena J is a former NPP member. And he was a chairman of the NDC. Very good man. and he passed, unfortunately. So Chairman Ofosu Ampofo became chairman. But Johnson Asiedu Nketiah decided to challenge Ofosu Ampofo for the chairmanship. It sounded a bit uncomfortable here and there, but everyone believes that Asiedu Nketiah got the support of John Mahama, who was a towering figure in the NDC at the time, as indeed he is now. And so Asiedu Nketiah emerged the chairman of the party. Then came 2024 elections, and the NDC pulled out the biggest victory in the history of the Fourth Republic, surpassing Akufo-Addo's victory in 2016. Okay, now Asiedu Nketiah knows that John Mahama is doing one term. So Asiedu Nketiah says, I'm ready to go into it. And then he's hearing and feeling and sensing and smelling that the decision is not finding favor with the boss. I mean, if I was advisor Asiedu Nketiah, I would have said, let's stop right there. We need to cross this hurdle. Put everything aside. Pack everything. Hold everything on. Let's go and try and secure the boss's permission. Let's try and secure the boss's blessing. Without his blessing, this is going to be very difficult. I would have said that to Asiedu Nketiah if I were advising him. I advise him, but he often doesn't listen because he sees me as opposition. So please tell him that my advice can be good. He should listen. Anyway, that's a joke. All right. So this is the scenario at this time. This is a scenario, okay? Johnson Nketiah and John Dramani Mahama. So then we come up here and remind Asiedu Nketiah that you're not going to be able to win anything if, first of all, you don't secure John Mahama's blessing. But forget about that. Some people can win without the president's blessing. Akufo-Addo won 2007 MPP Congress without Akufo's blessing. Justin Kodua became MPP General Secretary without the establishment's blessing. So you can still win without the blessing. But how are you going to do without the blessing? Okay. So we went ahead and had an opinion on Asiedu Nketiah's need to be both party chairman and flag bearer. So our editorial essentially was based on the fact that the path to party chairman is very different from the path to presidential candidate. And it's going to be very difficult for Johnson Asiedu Nketiah to navigate from being party chairman to swing over to be presidential candidate. I'd like to show you just 5 minutes of what we said then, because everything we said has, like the chickens have come home to roost. This is what we said. It's just a 5 minutes clip. Have a look at it. If you want to ask me, the question is, what is the role of a party chairman when the party is in government? The role of a party chairman when a party is in government is a lobbyist role. You lobby. You lobby for yourself if you want. You lobby for people. You lobby for contractors because you have influence. In Fanti, I think they call it sympathy. You are an elder. You don't have real power, but you're an elder that people respect. So you walk into Jubilee House at 11 o'clock in the morning. Everybody will be saluting you. Oh, party chairman, party chairman. What are you looking for? I want to see the old man. You climb upstairs to the fourth floor. The old man secretary sees you. Oh, party chairman is here. You go to president. Oh, a party chairman is here to see you. President will say, well, let him come, of course. You go to see president. You are going to lobby. So you go and say, Mr. President, this contractor who really helped us, they are not paying him. Charlie, tell your people to pay him. You know, the guy, that rally we did in Tamale, he's the one who paid for everything. He's the one who brought the lights to the rally in Oboase. Please, sort him out. And then the president might say, okay, party chairman has spoken. He'll call Minister of Finance. Ato, do you know this contractor X? Why are we not paying him? He says, oh, we'll pay next week. So, look, party chairman has come to speak about it. So then you go to communication minister. I say, communication minister, our party officers don't have computers. Can you get us iMac, the latest iMac 2020? Get us about 70 or so. The communication minister can call a contractor who is doing business with the Ministry of Communication and beg him that, look, you are doing business with us. You're going to make a lot of money. Can you spend some of your profit to buy computers for my party people? Party chairman is on my neck. That's the role of a party chairman in government. That's how it is. So Asiedu Nketiah is inexperienced. He has misunderstood the role of a party chairman in government. And so he thinks that he's still the party chairman in opposition, making decisions, towering above the flag bearer, deciding who comes to parliament and who doesn't lead parliament, making all of those changes. That time is gone. He's completely inexperienced. He doesn't understand it. And that's the problem he's having. And he's going to have a major problem if he doesn't recoil and become a lobbyist as a chairman of the party in government. Because nobody's going to pander to you. You have less influence. You have less money. You have less power. Who's going to talk to you? That's the problem. Asiedu Nketiah is inexperienced. Very, very inexperienced in handling party chairman of a party in government. Now, the other thing that is disturbing for Asiedu Nketiah is that in this Fourth Republic, there's been only one candidate who has wanted to be presidential candidate. who has been on the opposite side of the Jubilee House or the castle and has won. Often, the castle wins who they want to become presidential candidate. That's been the story globally. Whoever they want to be the next candidate, he wins. If you go to the famous story of England in the 90s, when they pushed Margaret Thatcher out, Margaret Thatcher didn't want Michael Heseltine. Everybody wanted Heseltine. Margaret Thatcher wanted John Major. John Major became the prime minister. That's how it works. It's only Adodankwa Akufo-Addo who in 2007 was able to fight off a very major uphill task from the castle against Kufuor and Alan Chemate, and he won. But even look at the victory he won. It was short of a second round. But Akufo-Addo was that powerful. His mobilization skills were so strong. And Akufo-Addo had been a national organizer of the party. So that was a really different kettle of fish. And he had a lot of support. So he's the only one in the Fourth Republic and perhaps in long history who has been able to achieve that. If the president doesn't want you to succeed him, half the time, 70%, 85% of the time, you will not succeed him. Asiedu Nketiah must get that very clear. So if you want to be presidential candidate of a party, the first vote you have to win is the vote of the sitting president. If you can't get the vote of the sitting president, my brother, forget about it. You're not going anywhere. You can be the biggest of anything. You have to be an Akufo-Addo to be able to ignore the vote of the sitting president and still win. And it was that Akufo-Addo episode that now changed constitutions of political parties in Ghana, where more than 2,000 people are voting for the presidential candidate because they're trying to reduce the influence of presidents, but it hasn't been reduced. Akufo-Addo stood for Bawumia and he won it. The other thing we have to talk about is this before we get to the videos. When you look at their political trajectory, to be party chairman is a different path from being presidential candidate. Asiedu Nketiah must get that very clear. So it's like a road, okay? Or a train that is one way and then branches out into two ways. That's how the political journey is. We all start at the same place and then you branch out into executive government or you branch out into party. So you look at the likes of B.J. Darocha from 1992. Darocha doesn't want to be presidential candidate. No way. He could have, if he wanted to contest in 1992 as a flag bearer to challenge Edu Boahen, Darocha would have been formidable. But he doesn't like that because we are all different. He doesn't want to be presidential candidate or president of the country. He wants to run the party, so he wants to be party chairman. Odoi Sykes, Peter Ala Ajete, all these people, A.A. Munufi, Alhaji Isifu Ali, Kobna J, they don't want to be presidential candidate at all. They just don't want to be. So they go the path of the party. So if you go the path of the party, you cannot then come around and say that now you want to be presidential candidates. You can't do that. So look at MPP today. You see the likes of Samuel Oku and these guys. Samuel Oku started as the party, as Akufo-Addo was national organizer before. Samuel Oku started as the party. Samuel Oku has decided that he wants to cut another path. He wants executive government. So he does an executive position at NLA. He goes to parliament. If MPP comes to power, he wants to be a minister, and then he will cut his path from there. He's not going back to be general secretary of the party. No, that is gone as far as he's concerned. Kojo, Ponkroma, and all these are friends. They don't want to be party executives. If Samuel Oku wants to be party executive, he can run for MPP general secretary and win. But that's not the path. He's gone onto the executive path. You decide where you want to go. It's going to be very, very difficult for Asiedu Nketiah to navigate that. It's going to be very difficult for Asiedu Nketiah to navigate that. The concern we have here, sorry, the video is a bit long. We'll work on it for the videos that go on online. The concern we have here is that we believe that Asiedu Nketiah took our advice, but he didn't pay us for it. This is pure political advice, political research advice, which he didn't pay us for, but he took our advice. All right, okay. Okay, let's move on to the next. The Nilante Van der Poel one is fine, yeah. Okay, so after that, we saw, did we notice the date on that one? I think the date was 26th of March. No, the date. The date was on 26th of May. That's when we published this opinion. It was May 26th this year. That's when we published the opinion. Now let's go. Nilante Van der Poel on 11th June 2026, a few days after we published the 26th of May, 11th June, about a week or so. He comes and says that I'll resign for NDC chair race if Asiedu Nketiah does not run. Now, up until this time, it was almost certain. Everybody knew that Asiedu Nketiah was running. Everybody knew that. But we believe that when we put out that editorial and put the road sign thing there, the photograph, and showed him that party chairman is on the left and the general executive government is to the right, you can't really cross because there's a big chasm in between, and navigating that chasm, which has many, many pitfalls. Do you know what steeplechase is, viewers? The military people, they have something called steeplechase. And in steeplechase in the military academy, there are many obstacles, and there's water somewhere, there are some lions waiting for you somewhere. And if you used to play snake and ladders, you kind of know what I'm talking about. So there's a chasm between being a party, executive of a party, and coming into executive government. And we thought that it's going to be very difficult for Asiedu to navigate that. But then comes Nilante van der Poel, says that I'll resign I'll resign for the NDC chair race. That is to say, he'll resign his position given to him by John Mahama as a drip coordinator if Asiedu Nketiah doesn't run. So Nilante van der Poel is the first person who throws it out that, hold on a minute, Asiedu Nketiah may not be running. He also indicates in this post that he is a loyalist of Asiedu Nketiah, and that if Nilante van der Poel were to run, he is indicating to us that he will be running as part of Asiedu Nketiah's philosophy. That's what this post means. I will resign. Says if Asiedu is running, I'm not running. But if Asiedu is not running, I am going to run. It means that he's going to run on Asiedu's account. So let's see the next post. What date is that? So this is 23rd of June. Then finally, Nilante van der Poel says, I will be the chairman of the NDC by December. Nilante van der Poel. Former, they call him National Drip Coordinator. This is a Metro TV quote card. And I believe that he has said it on Metro TV's Good Morning Ghana. And that's where he said this. So we are just showing you the trajectory and showing you where we are today. So as it looks like, therefore, that Asiedu Nketiah wants to run the party through Nilante van der Poel so that it will be easier for Asiedu to navigate the processes. Okay, now let's look at this. And very good, thank you very much. So you see that Asiedu Nketiah on the top of your screen, the arrow points down to Nilante van der Poel, and from Nilante van der Poel, the arrow comes to the National Democratic Congress. So this is going to be the picture that Asiedu Nketiah is trying to create. All right, John Mahama people are watching. Yeah, they are watching. And so they see that Asiedu is trying to be very clever. He is going to step aside, and Nilante van der Poel is going to be chairman. Nilante is going to do virtually everything that Asiedu Nketiah wants in the processes leading up to the selection of the presidential candidate. The John Mahama people find this quite dangerous, and they think that is something that has to be worked on. And so they sit down, they dream, they pray. One day we wake up over gold board issues. This is what Nilante van der Poel is reported to have said on CTTV. And this was on the 19th of August, 2026, when comments came from Nilante van der Poel that were adverse, or the NDC faithful thought it was adverse to the credibility of Sammy Gyamfi, the chief executive of Gold Board. Here, Nilante van der Poel.
Everyone has a style. Everyone has a style. And you are asking me.
You have a style, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Everybody has a style.
Are those words you use?
No, I wouldn't use
those words.
I wouldn't use those words.
Fair enough.
But you see, by my communication background, I wouldn't want the person, because you are not speaking to only that person. You are speaking to many other people. So that one, I will sit here and apologize on behalf of Sammy Gyamfi, even if he has not done that. I will do that because it's my boy. It takes me as a senior person, just as you do, and I would say he's not a communicator. He's not a communications expert like me. He hasn't done communication. I have done communication, and I know that by register, when you're talking, you are not talking to one person, you are talking to general number of people.
So Mr. van der Poel was apologizing for Sammy Gyamfi. He said that he had used interpret language in communicating with on the gold board matter with Alex Afenyo Markin. Okay, then all hell broke loose. Let's see this. Post after post on NDC social media. Rick Owusu says, Masa, you have lost the chairmanship bid. I promise. You don't know the number of people whom you broke their hearts by your comments. You just don't know. And then this one comes, Moses Dasmani says that you cannot attack Sammy and go free. He is a pillar of the NDC grassroots. Okay, then another one says that it's very difficult for a grown man apologizing to a younger man. Critically analyzes the situation before coming out with your thoughts is the best. That's Professor Bo something. Enoch Crypto says the grassroots, well, he wrote it grass rot, but he meant grassroots has already decided. It's too late, sir. James Frimpong says, Nilante, think before you speak. You can't chair the seat as national chairman. We will not vote for you. You are not a patriotic NDC. Pack yourself somewhere. And then another one says, don't waste your money. Get a chilled beer and chop chofi and fat. King Priest Archibald says, Honorable, some of your comments lately raises a lot of questions. So, and then Nanako Josafo Kantanka says, take your apology. We still have it in our archive. The time will come. Now, the no, not this one, please. The president hasn't said he wants a kid. He can take this one off. So this is what happened. Can you have me Nilante Vanderpoy here? I'm still on Nilante Vanderpoy. This is what happened, yeah. NDC people came after Nilante Vanderpoy, and we have actually read just a few for you. There's quite a bit more. So Nilante here then comes under severe pressure. Now there's a meaning to that pressure. It's not simple. If you have the Pablo tape, please hold it, get it ready. There's a meaning to this pressure. The pressure then was that Nilante Vanderpoy, about whom there would have been a lot of thinking in the President Mahama circles in terms of his ambition to become national chairman and how that ambition can be managed so that the Asiedu Nketiah philosophy does not reign after December 2026 in the NDC, because Asiedu Nketiah already has the general secretary, Fifi Kwete. He's primed. He's with Asiedu Nketiah by force, completely, 100%. Now, if they get a chairman who is not Asiedu Nketiah, but he's acting Asiedu Nketiah, they are wondering where that is going. So they were thinking about it. Then Nilante Vanderpoy brings himself, as they say in Ghana. He has brought himself. And so they go after him. They are not going after him just because of the comments. No. They are going after him to remove him from becoming that choice of the national chairman. So in all the fury that occurred, the National Party doesn't say anything about it, because this is a guy who has said, I'm running for national chairman. He's reported to have said something publicly that is supposedly inimical to the image of the party. The party says nothing. Why? Because the party is controlled by his boss, his godfather, Asiedu Nketiah. They will say nothing against Nilante Vanderpoy. Fifi Kwete is a scribe. How many times have we seen Fifi Kwete suspend people for things they've said? How many times? Fifi Kwete suspends people all the time. And he's been credited with bringing a hardline discipline to the party. Yes, that may be correct. But this one, when what looked like majority of the party youth felt that Nilante has not spoken well, the NDC party silent, completely silent. They can't say anything because Vanderpoy is their man for the chairmanship. Now they have to wait. Will Vanderpoy win? Will Vanderpoy not win? A lot of discussions follow. And then, boom, the blast comes. Nilante Vanderpoy now goes on his knees and renders an unqualified apology. Now that decision could not have been taken without Asiedu Nketiah's input. The decision for Nilante Vanderpoy to apologize so profusely as he did will not be taken without Asiedu Nketiah's input. What it means is that Asiedu is trying to clean that up so that we can move on. But that's not going to happen. As we speak today, the NDC folks who support the John Mahama agenda will not elect Nilante Vanderpoy. Now, they were looking for a reason not to elect him, because Vanderpoy is correct, 10 over 10, minus nothing. Vanderpoy is correct for the party chairman. There's nothing you can hold against Nilante Vanderpoy. He's not corrupt. The football people think that he's great. People wanted him to be Greater Accra regional minister, so you really cannot find something against Nilante Vanderpoy. But they found a window. He went to say that Sami Jemfi should apologize. Guy, we have the guy. This is politics, viewers. This is politics. I've been studying it for a while. It's politics. So they now have something. It may not be substantial. It may not even be weighty, but they are able to use it. Asiedu Nketiah and Nilante Vanderpoy, recognizing this, do not want that conversation to fester. So they say, look, apologize and let sleeping dogs lie. But will sleeping dogs lie? Let's see the apology that Nilante rendered soon thereafter. Nilante rendered an apology. He says, yes, this is the apology on his letterhead. In fact, when the story of apology first came, many people doubted it. Knowing that Nilante Vanderpoy and the way he is, they doubted it. And so he says here that, let me state clearly and without ambiguity, I think I have it there. where is that one? Let me state clearly and without ambiguity that it was never my intention to undermine or condemn our comrade Sami Gyamfi or to lend support to the attacks being directed at him and the gold board by the opposition. My record, he says, my convictions and my commitment to the NDC will never permit me to knowingly strengthen the hands of our political opponent against one of our own. Indeed, Van der Poel says, my intentions during the discussion was to defend the work of Gold Board and the efforts that Sami has put in. Unfortunately, blah, 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 blah. So viewers, you see what power can do. This is what power can do. This is Nilante Van der Poel, who Sami Gyamfi had procured to help him become National Communications Officer when Sami first contested the role in 2018. At that time, Sami was a young man. He's still young, but he was just coming out of Kumasi and his law training and all of that. And he had been working for Kojo Bonsu, and he had been effective for the party in Ashanti region. And now it was his first time coming into the national focus and then to be living in Accra and be doing national work for John Dramani Mahama. He was working at the behest of John Dramani Mahama. Sami Gyamfi was running for National Communications Officer at the behest of John Dramani Mahama. And Sami Gyamfi needed to procure Nilante Van der Poel back in 2018 for Van der Poel to give him that political cover to be able to push through an NDC leadership race. And Van der Poel did an excellent job for him. Fast forward, the tables have turned. Here is now Van der Poel on his knees, begging Sami Gyamfi, help me to become national chairman. I beg you. I can never offend you. Politics is about power. It's not about age. It's not about anything else. Politics is power. That's it. That's the story you're watching. How is Nilante Van der Poel begging Sami Gyamfi in National Democratic Congress, Rawlins's NDC, Professor Mills's NDC, John Mahama's NDC, Nilante Van der Poel, this is a huge NDC name. Nilante Van der Poel. Today, he's on his knees begging Sami Gyamfi, the chief executive of Gold Board. Politics is always about power. Now, Van der Poel has apologized. But is the apology going to work? I am saying to you, viewers, and let me now have President Mahama and Asiedu Nketiah again. I'm saying to you, before I go to Guzi, I'm saying to you, viewers, that the apology is not going to work because the group here supporting His Excellency are determined that Asiedu Nketiah cannot have his way. No, he cannot. They don't want him to have his way. So you are going to bring Nilante Van der Poel, who was a really qualified candidate. Okay, now we have him. He said things about Sami Gyamfi. No, we're not going to allow it. The National Party is not saying anything about it. An apology has come through. As far as Asiedu Nketiah thinks, it should be okay, but it's not going to be okay. Now, the coalition that supports Asiedu Nketiah in NDC, every political party has different strands. So the NDC has the Rawlins people. They have the cadres. Then they have the Rawlins people. Not all the Rawlins people are cadres, but most cadres are Rawlins people. Then they also have the Mills people. They are there. And the Mills people credit themselves for giving the NDC a new lease of life in 2006, 2007, 2008. I'm referring to the likes of Koko Anyidoho, Nilante Van der Poel, Kojo Bonsu, Kobi Achampong. Where is he? Where is Kobi Achampong? Find him for me. We used to have a lot of political arguments at the Lisa Hotel back in the day when we were watching Champions League in 2007, 2008. Kobi, my good friend, where are you? Where's Kobi Achampong? Please find him. Kobi Achampong. All of these guys are Mills people. Bebaku Mensah, Mate Newman, all of them, they are Mills people. That's another block of the NDC. Then there's also the John Mahama people. Now, the John Mahama people, some of them are former cadres. Some of them are former Mills, but now they are John Mahama people, okay? So, Asiedu Nketiah has a lot of support within the grassroots of the NDC, and he largely controls also the cadre block because he too is an important cadre. So the cadres are with him. This is the strategy that we are noticing. Yeah, stay with me, viewers. We are noticing that the people around John Mahama are desperate to find a party chairman. A chairman that will not do Asiedu Nketiah's bidding. A chairman that will do President Mahama's bidding. That's what they're looking for. And they think that the cadres have been left behind. Nothing has happened. So to appease the cadres, they're going to pick a cadre hero and see whether they can convince him to run as chairman. Once they get that and the forms are picked, they are going to swing support for that person, and Asiedu and John Mahama will fight the first proxy battle towards 2008 in that context, whether they are going to have their way for chairman or they're not going to have their way. So if Asiedu Nketiah wins that contest, viewers, you should know that the scales are tilting his way. But can he eventually push it through? I doubt it very much, but let's see what happens. Now, this is the man they are talking about for the national chairmanship leadership. Guess who? Augustus Guzitano. Augustus Guzitano himself has gotten into a bit of trouble recently on 24-hour economy, and we're going to show that to you in our next story. But Augustus Guzitano has always been the cadre favorite for presidential elections, and they believe that once it has been spoken, it should happen sometime. They are beginning to think that if Augustus Guzitano cannot become a presidential candidate, surely he must be a party chairman to reorganize the party, bring the party back to even keel, raise up the ethos of the cadres, probity, accountability, and what else? Transparency, those cadre things. You know, they want that. So, and Guzi is going to be palatable to the John Mahama group, yeah? So if Guzi is good with the cadres, then they can win the cadre votes away from Asiedu Nketiah. That's one block gone out of the Asiedu Nketiah base. And this is now the John Mahama candidate. So everybody is going to whip to support the John Mahama candidate. This is what they are playing out now. So they are thinking that Augustus Guzitano file for national chairman. But can Guzitano file for national chairman? I guess he's run out of time on Asiedu Nketiah's terms. Because Asiedu Nketiah and Fifi Kwete had introduced something that if you want to run for national office, resign from your job. So Nilante van der Poel has resigned as DRIP coordinator to run for national chairman. The deadline, guess what, viewers? The deadline for that has already passed. We don't know anyone who has resigned from an important position to run for national chairman. No minister has resigned, no deputy minister. We can't find anyone. Guzitano today is still the boss of the 24-hour economy. So technically, Guzitano has run out of time. But John Mahama is still the boss. So they can always do something on the national executive to open a reprieve, give some 2 weeks, new people, blah, blah, blah. Or they can file a petition to John Mahama to reconsider that position. A lot of things are going to happen from September. I know, but I can't speak of them now because the people told me said I shouldn't say it right now. But a lot of things are going to happen. So that is what it is. Today, Guzitano is disqualified because he hasn't resigned. The deadline has passed. Is he going to be John Mahama's candidate for the situation? Well, I don't know. We wait to see what will happen. Do you have something else? Yes, that is the last bit of the conversation on this story. I'd like to tell you something, viewers, that if you look at what is happening within the NDC and within the government and even comparing to what's happening within the MPP, I'm going to share with you at this stage the choices for the John Mahama people. So for the John Mahama people, their first choice for 2028 presidential election is that His Excellency the President will be able to achieve a third term and he will be on the ballot. That is option 1 for the JM camp. Third term on the ballot. Nothing to do with JM himself. I'm telling you what his people are thinking. They are thinking that their first option is a third term. If they can't get that, and they know that they may not get that, they are politicians, so they concede, or they know, but they are pushing for it. Their second option is to have Kesela Toforsen, the Minister for Finance, become the candidate of the NDC. They already know that Muhammadu Bawumia is the candidate for the MPP, and they are thinking that by 2028, Atoforsen will have enough to show for how he has managed the economy. And if you compare that to Bawumia, they believe that they can have a favorable comparison against Bawumia. And that's why this gold board loss of 1.7 billion is very, very crucial to them. And that's why they will fight it off with everything, especially the John Mahama people. Somehow, Atoforsen's name is not coming into the gold board conversation. We hear all kinds of things that some people have removed his name. Some important people in MPP have removed Atoforsen's name. Whatever. It's all going on. Maybe it will come home to roost and we'll see it one day. But Atoforsen, I'm still on Atoforsen, please. Atoforsen is the second choice for the John Mahama people. There's a third choice, isn't there? The third choice for the John Mahama people, the third option, is Ambassador Dr. Julius Deborah. If for some reason Atoforsen doesn't work, maybe the economy takes a downturn, touch wood, that will not happen. But if that were to happen, it's economics and politics, you never know. If something happens that indicates that Atoforsen thing might not work, the John Mahama people will now have to rely on Ambassador Dr. Julius Deborah, the Chief of Staff, to become the candidate of the John Mahama camp. If for some reason that also doesn't work, then Professor Jenano Pokwajiman, who is the vice president, may be an option that the Mahama people can consider. But these are the 4 options of the Mahama people. Option number 1, third term. I believe option number 2 is also third term. Option number 3 is K. Salato Forsen becomes the candidate. Option number 4, Julius Debra to be considered. Option number 5, Jenano Pokwajiman, the vice president, to be considered. So this is what is going on. This is what is playing out. And the people in the NDC are looking carefully at what's happening in the MPP. MPP are observing carefully what's happening in the NDC. We are showing you what's going to happen in between. So bring back Nilante van der Poel as he's the conclusion of our story. So, Angoni Ofanetete, you'll be fine. You'll be fine, eh? This is very interesting, very slippery. But you have been doing politics all these years. You know it better than I do. We wish you the best of luck, but we can tell you that you have an almost unsurmountable mountain to climb with all of these complications. One thing you can do, though, is to go to President Mahama and see whether you can get his support for the party chairman, if you haven't done that already. And then I'm sure that after that, you'll be fine. Nilante van der Poel, our friend, is like Nineveh and Jonah. He is in a catch-22 situation. He is between a rock and a very, very hard place. But we have some compensation for him. This was Nilante van der Poel showing the spirit of the NDC within him on the last day of campaigning in the 2016 elections at the Accra Sports Stadium. I was there. I was behind the stage that day. I can never forget.